Hi, welcome to Pod of Mercy. I am your host, Longhair Linda, and today's very special guest co-host is...
Hello, I'm the Premier Battles GOAT at promo. If you don't know this handsome face, then hopefully you know the logo. Head of digital events for Premier Battles, it's Ghast Buff. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
That was an amazing intro. That was so good. That might be the best one I've had. That literally might be the best one I've had in all these episodes.
It's not Freddie Mercury garb, but I'll take it.
Do you know what? I was a little bit scared after Quill that every person now that I asked to come on the podcast would feel pressured to dress up. But I just wanted to be like, no, it's just like a regular pod. I don't know why he did that, but I'm glad he did. It looked fantastic. It was an entire outfit. It was really good. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Ghast, you haven't been here before, but I like to do this thing at the beginning before we get going on the topic where I will do a rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
All right.
And you have 45 seconds to completely answer all 10 questions. If you do it, then you win. If you don't, then I win. How feasible do you think this is? How are you feeling about it?
Well, 4.5 seconds per question. If I can try not to and just go by pure instinct, we'll see how it goes. I may regret the answers, but if I could just get an answer out, then I might be all right.
Well, this is it. So try not to think too hard about it. Just whatever the first thing comes to your mind. Typically, I'm pretty quick at asking the questions. I won't try and cheat you out of that. Takes me probably about 1.5 seconds to ask it. So you got 3 seconds. Just say whatever, exactly. Whatever comes to your mind, just say it. And then we can talk about it after. If it's too crazy, it's your fault. Right? Okay, cool.
Let's burn some bridges.
Exactly. You might burn some bridges, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to get my timer together, and I'm going to go as soon as I start asking the question, that is when the timer will start. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, and go. Would you rather fly or have super strength?
Fly.
What never fails to make you laugh?
Oh God, puppetry.
One thing you regret spending money on?
A hard drive repair.
Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
What's your go-to lazy dinner?
Pizza.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
Cyberpunk stuff, probably.
Travel to the past or to the future?
Past.
Favorite board game?
Splendor.
What's your hidden talent?
Again, puppetry.
You had 3 seconds to spare. You did that in 42 seconds.
Oh, wow. Let's go.
That was so good. Very, very well done. You did really, really good. So I need to know a bit more about this puppetry.
Yep. So, again, I don't tend to have many hidden talents because, as you probably know from following me on socials, I like keeping them hidden. But I had a phase in my teenage years where I was obsessed with the Muppets. I really wanted to go into puppetry as a kid. It was basically one of the things I would do in theatre. I probably have about a half dozen puppets at my parents' house that I know how to handle. I got another one that I use for a couple of the promo videos. I think the problem was it's the only real pathway to getting a career in puppetry obviously is through kids TV. And I couldn't deal with kids. I was just terrible at dealing with children. So, there wasn't really a career prospect once I realized that the target audience was something I couldn't be around. But
fair.
But no, it is something that I still do. I do know how to make puppets and craft puppets. I hate the touch of foam, which again is another thing that kind of works against me. But yeah, hidden talent.
Right. Okay, well, listen. And then it's the one thing that also makes you laugh,
yeah, that's just
instantly.
There's just something about it. There's whether it's just the design or the motions, there's just something about the static puppet face, especially as a reaction shot to something
that gets you every time.
Yeah, just there's something about it that tickles me. I wish I knew why, but.
No, that's all good. That's all good. Well, listen, you didn't say anything crazy.
Yeah,
you said the
I'm very pleased.
You did it very quickly. You didn't say anything crazy. No bridges have been burnt. So I think that's an overall success for you guys. Well done.
I'll take it.
Today's topic is going to be ranking 90s and 2000s cartoons. So I've got a mixed bag. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've got everything, but I have 40 of them that we're now going to put in a tier list. Okay. So I'm actually going to, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will hopefully see this in a moment, where I'm going to actually show the tier list, the tier maker thing that I made. And hopefully, hopefully that will look normal on the screen. Nice. Might be a bit small, but as you can see, we have 40 to choose from. We've got, that did used to say S tier, top tier, mid. I'm going to change it because I don't like A, B, C, D, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I don't know why. I just don't like it. So I'm going to go and change this again to what it was before. Okay. So we're going to go with S tier, top tier, mid tier, bottom tier, and never watched. So I tried my best, because there's so many cartoons to choose from. I tried my best to choose things that I've either seen for sure, like watched, or I have some kind of awareness of and watched like 1 or 2 episodes, or that are too popular for me to have left off this list. Now, that might still be the case for things that I've left off, but, you know, it's fine. We are where we are. So never watched can be something that neither of us really have good memory of watching. But if, like, say, I've never watched something and you have, and we're pretty much agreeing with stuff that we both watched, I might just trust your instincts and just put it wherever it is that you want to rank it. Does that make sense?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get started then. So the first one on the list is American Dad.
Cool. Do you want to open this, or shall I?
Please.
So I do like American Dad. I think it's generally quite funny and well constructed. Obviously, like the Family Guy comparisons, you know, they have to happen. But it's one of those shows where, like, it's been on TV pretty much perennially since it started, and I've generally enjoyed it. But I wouldn't say it's anything that I'd go out of my way to watch. So this may be controversially, I'm probably going to put it in mid tier.
Do you know what? If it's controversial with the people that are tuned in, because for me, I 100% agree. I think this is a mid-tier show. It's not bad. Certainly not bad. It's something I would watch if it's on. But yeah, I'm not like rushing. I don't think that this is top 10, certainly not S tier cartoon. So yeah, cool. Mid-tier, totally agree. All right, the next one is Angry Beaver.
Cool. I'm going to be, again, quite harsh on this, mostly because, like, I've seen, there's only one show on this entire list. I've been scanning through it that I haven't seen. So I am going to be, I like to like 2, but still, like, I've got to put something in bottom tier because, like, obviously I'm a cartoon nerd, which is why I'm here. But I never clicked with Angry Beavers. I don't know what it was. Like, there were. So I'm getting a murderous look from the missus right now, but it never clicked to me. There are some jokes that are fantastic in it, like, as there are with all Nickelodeon shows, but, like, it was, even as a kid, it was just something that I thought, I can miss this, and bottom tier for me, unfortunately.
I 100% agree. It looks like so far we are super aligned, because honestly, when this was on, like, I've watched it, but, like, choosing to watch it, not so much. Like, I'm not like, oh, let's go watch it. Like, it's just not for me particularly. So yeah, bottom tier for me as well. All right, next one is Animaniacs.
Cool. Animaniacs, I think, has aged fantastically. I don't remember caring for it that much as a kid, but as an adult, going back to it and seeing the effort that's gone into the production value, the jokes seem to hit better as an adult, and the music score especially. Like, that period where Spielberg was just producing cartoons, like, this music is incredible. I don't think it's S tier, but I am going to put it in top tier, I think.
I think, yeah, I don't think it's S tier, though. I do think, I feel like we've seen a lot of, not even just animated, like, not even cartoons and just, you know, exclusively. I think we've seen a lot of kids TV get inspiration from Animaniacs. I think it's an originator in quite a lot of different things, or a particular style, should I say, of kids TV. And so I think it would be disrespectful to put it any lower than top tier.
No,
so I'm going to agree with you. And I'm going to put that there. Again, not S tier, not quite S tier, but definitely top tier for me.
There's just things like Yakko's America, all of Pinky and the Brain, like that have just stood the test of time for ages. There are a couple of misfires in terms of like the skits and characters they had, but all in all, their batting average is incredibly high.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen everything. But definitely I remember what I had seen. Again, this was me looking at it from older eyes. I think I was a young adult when I kind of looked at some more of the stuff and kind of refreshed my memory on things. I haven't seen everything, but from what I've seen, I think top tier is fair for this. All right, next one is Arthur.
Cool. For me, this is an easy top tier. I think in terms of like just, educational, accessible shows. Like it was written really cleverly for the time. Obviously, I skewed a bit older by the time it was actually airing. The theme song slaps. One of the best theme songs of any kid show. I think that's an easy top tier. Like, and just the fact that so many people have grown up with it, and like the memes, the episode when you see the meme for it. So, yeah, I think I've got Arthur in top tier as well.
Here's the thing. I kind of want to put it in S tier. I'm not going to lie.
I'd be okay with it. I'd be fine with that.
You'd compromise with that, okay? Because for me, I think everything together make it amazing. Like you just said, the theme tune is something that I think everybody that's like over 21 maybe knows the theme tune to this. I feel like this is S tier. I just think the whole storyline, the thing with the school and like DW, I think all of it is just I loved Arthur so much, and still probably would thoroughly enjoy it if it was on the TV right now. All right, cool. I'm glad you let me move this. Hold on. What's going on my screen? There we go. But I put Arthur, I put mid tier. That's disrespectful. Okay. S tier. All right. This one is next one is Ben 10. Have you watched Ben 10?
I feel like if I was a little younger, I would have like eaten Ben 10 up. Unfortunately, I kind of skewed a little older, so I never really got a chance to watch all of it. So for me, this is a never watched. It's one of the things on the list where like I would probably go back and rewatch it now. I'm kind of going back and watching a lot of those mid 2000 series that I never watched at the time because I was either aging out of cartoons or into my like edgy anime only phase. Like I've only watched like Avatar in the last year, for example. Like I'm really playing catch up. So I'm sure I'd love Ben 10 if I finished it. A lot of the discussions I see people having about it tells me it's my jam, but unfortunately it's a never watched at the moment.
Do you know what? So Ben 10, my niece absolutely loved Ben 10. So again, similar to you, because we're kind of similar ages, aren't we? So I think this came out, 2005. So I'd aged out of watching this. But I do remember my niece being completely obsessed with this. And I think I don't even know how old I was. I was definitely like a full adult at this point. And my niece loved Ben 10. It was always Ben 10. What do you want to watch? Ben 10, Ben 10, Ben 10, constantly. And one time I just sat there and watched it with her. And I found myself every single time she was watching it, I was watching it too. Because it's so good. Like I get why she loved it. But again, this is based, solely on me being an adult. So I would want to put it in like mid tier, but you've never watched it. So it's on you. It's up to you whether you want to put it in never watched or if you want to trust me and put it in mid tier.
I'd kind of want to put it in never watched, to be honest.
Never watched. That's fair.
Just because it's absolute. I know it would be my jam if I sat down and watched it. I'd probably put it in top. Maybe yes, depending on how much it grabs me, but yeah, it's never watched for me.
Fair enough. That's fine. Okay, so the next one is Beavis and Butthead.
Cool. I think this one might be where we diverge because for me, this is S tier.
Oh, I hate this show.
I knew it. And like, this show is like, when I was a kid, I was watching it way before I was ever meant to. But I just think the way that the episodes are structured, there's something about like Mike Judge as a writer. His timing is just impeccable. And what I love about Beavis and Butthead, it's been revived twice. So the show's run in 4 different decades, and it's not stopped being funny. Like the season that aired, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but the most recent Beavis and Butthead series, I found it funnier than most of the early episodes. So for me, it's S tier, but
well,
mileage may vary.
I haven't watched Beavis and Butthead recently. Like, I haven't seen it in the one you were talking about with the more recent episodes in this decade. I just have a distinct memory of the earlier episodes and just being like I don't think this is for me. Like, I don't get it. Like, it just you were talking about the writing style. For me, I was like, they're not saying, like, nothing's happening. It's not nothing. And for me, I could never get myself to, like, I don't. It's difficult because I would have put this in bottom tier and you would put this in S tier, but we do have to agree because there's only one little square. So
I mean, I know it's one of those Marmite shows. So if we want to compromise and call it mid tier, I'll accept that.
You'll accept mid. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're going in mid. All right, and the next one is Cat Dog.
Again,
I can only say it like that. I can't just say Cat Dog.
For me, this is an Angry Beavers level show. It was just something that never vibed with me at the time. It was probably what I may have had to like watch more of it. I just never vibed with Cat Dog. It wasn't a series that. Would you like to join the podcast, wife? The looks I'm getting.
You get yelled at.
I am she's being very respectful of the podcast, but I am getting wide gesticulating motions of disbelief.
For me, I was going to put this. So what you're thinking it's going to be bottom tier?
For me, it's bottom.
I was going to put it in mid tier, but I'll compromise and I'll go with a bottom tier for you as well, just because I made one of your S tier picks in mid tier.
like I say, I've got I'm being kind of harsh on some of these because like I appreciate like I'm putting them bottom because I didn't watch that much of it.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I'm ranking them low.
Fair enough. And then we've got Courage the Cowardly Dog next.
I'd be very curious to know your opinion on this one first, actually.
I think I've only maybe watched like 3 or 4 episodes of this. It was fine from what I remember. Like, it wasn't anything I was rushing to watch back, to be honest. If I had like no outside influence on this at all, this would just be middle of the mid. Like, I didn't have any aversion to it necessarily, but I wasn't taken by it either, if that makes sense.
Sorry, I have to read. I am being messaged during this. You know, Beavis and Butthead S tier, Angry Beavers low tier, pitiful. Next, you're going to tell me our Real Monsters is bottom tiers. Sort yourself out. I am being heckled from my own living room. But no, for me, Courage is fantastic. I just think in terms of like, I really enjoyed this as a kid. Like, I don't know what like sort of fixation I had as a kid where I was almost like angry that no one believed him after all the episodes of him being objectively right about things. Until it dawned on me that every episode is practically its own pocket universe. But like in terms of like experimental content and like stuff you wouldn't expect to see in a kids' TV show, I loved Courage and I still love Courage.
Okay.
Have you seen the revival they did a couple years ago? They did a Scooby-Doo crossover.
No, I did not see that.
They did a straight to DVD like Scooby and Courage crossover. First thing they've done in like 20 years.
So like a film rather than a series.
Yeah, and it was right before the voice actor from Muriel passed, I think. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So for me, this would be a top tier show. Like some episodes, I would put in S, but it was very inconsistent.
Okay. I'll trust your judgment on it because I would have probably just gone like mid-ish. But fine, we'll go top tier. We'll go top tier. All right, the next one is Cow and Chicken.
So I'm almost going to go against my own opinion. I loved this as a kid, but it's a bottom tier show. Like,
is it? I liked it as a kid.
I also liked it as a kid, but like there's parts of it where I look at it and like they were just trying to get anything past the censors. It's almost like the show's like a dare almost, I think. Like,
that's fair.
There are there's parts I really enjoyed, but I think of all the cartoons that were coming out around that side, like, you know, any other one, I would probably go out of my way to watch more.
Oh, I liked Cow and Chicken. Can we not put it in mid tier?
We can put it in mid. Like
okay.
I'm actually happy to put it because I did love it, but I'm going back and watching certain episodes. I'm like, man, the writers had a strike that day.
Yeah, no, I'd much prefer mid tier rather than bottom tier for Cow and Chicken, just because I got so much joy from it as a kid.
Yeah, like I appreciate it as an adult because obviously, as some people know, I tried my hand at voice acting in my late teens and early 20s and stuff. So in that regard, I find it really impressive as a show that one guy does all of the voices.
Is that true?
Yeah, Charlie Adler is the voice of Cow, Chicken, and the red guy.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's really good.
Wait, talk to me about your voice acting. Like, how did you find your way in it, and how did it go?
So it kind of started as the way I got into theatre in general. Like when I was in English class, I used to get bored shitless during Shakespeare. So I would always go ham, you know, rather than just, oh, forsooth, blah, 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 that used to put me to sleep. So just to keep myself awake, I used to go ham on the readings in Shakespeare. And they told me I had a pretty good voice for it. So I started looking online. And this was around the time I was starting to get into anime again in a big way. So I'd start looking online for like fan dubs and stuff and like other general like little voice acting projects and like games and movies on Newgrounds and stuff. And I would just submit auditions. Like at the time I had like the microphone that came with Rock Band. I was using a sock as a pop guard. I had the most rudimentary understanding of Audacity for noise cancelling and stuff. But the thing was, at the time, it wasn't like everyone was an ASM artist and everyone had the same Yeti microphone, and you know, like people generally knew how to like do cardioid and like noise cancelling. So if you did any post production whatsoever, people thought you had your own studio. Like there were so many like people auditioning for things that had like, you know, just 15-year-olds with a microphone, like a webcam mic by a washing machine, and the audio was terrible. And then there's me sounding vaguely polished with noise cancelling, and people just thought I was a pro. Like there are people now that I would get cast in these little fan dubs and video game dubs that have gone on to be like genuinely big name industry professionals, like Sean Chiplock, who's done onto like loads of things right now. You can check his wiki page. Me and him used to like do fan dubs of Nintendo 64 games and stuff. Like,
wow.
So yeah, I'm a massive voice actor, stan, and nerd, and all that other stuff.
Oh, I love that for you. All right, then. Next one, Danny Phantom.
Simple for me, never watched. Like this one was way too after my time.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched enough episodes to really rate this properly. I think I was going to rely on you if you had. So I'm happy to stick that in never watched. That's fine. And then next one, we've got Daria. Go on.
No, you go first, actually. I'd be more curious for your in.
I loved Daria. Loved Daria. I thought Daria was fantastic. I recently was starting to rewatch old episodes of Daria, like only a couple of years ago. I think the whole like moody, like satirical, sarcastic, like vibe of not just Daria, but of the show, even with characters that weren't like, you know, moody and depressed like Daria was. I just loved it. And I thought it was, looking at it, like when I was putting this list together, when I looked at it, I was like, this is an S tier for me. This is an S tier show for me, for sure. What were your thoughts with Daria when you were watching it when you were younger?
I didn't get it when I was younger. Like, I think Daria just kind of captured like such a mood, like of being like, a certain age at a certain time. It's such a perfect encapsulation of its era. And at the time, I was a little younger than its target audience, so I didn't get it. But I do appreciate it more and more as I've gone on. So I'm happy for it to be like top or S. Like, it didn't quite grab me the same way, but I know like as a cultural touchstone, it's an important show.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go S. We're going straight with S. So right now we've got Arthur and Daria as S tiers currently, which I'm personally very happy about. Okay, the next one is Dexter's Lab.
I'm gonna say top, just on the cusp of S, because it was a very inconsistent show. Like, there are episodes that are bangers, but there are some episodes that I'm like, I could take or leave that. But in general, very, very consistently great show, and like probably like one of like the short list of like cartoons that I think of as being like absolute elite. What a great time for home produced.
Very, very much so. I think I would have. Yeah, I'm happy with top tier. I do think it was on the cusp of S as well. So I'll go with top tier as well. Let's go in there. Top tier. Okay, and then we got Digimon next. We do have Pokemon coming up later, but this is in alphabetical order.
For me, I would be Digimon's a weird one because it's one that I've kind of like revisited in adulthood in my nerdier times. That as a kid I loved it, but it very much suffers from being one of those ones where, you know, late 90s, you know, when dubs weren't really as big a thing, when people didn't expect there to be like a Japanese fan base bleeding over, there's a lot of like weird cuts and dubbing decisions and other stuff. But I love it. I do genuinely love it. But if we're basing it on like the Digimon I know as a kid, I'd have to put it like probably top. I don't think it quite scrapes into S for me.
Okay. I was gonna go mid for this.
That's the thing. I'm like, I don't even think it's comfortably top. I'd almost.
Yeah, I think if we had an upper mid, I think that's where it would be. But
yeah.
like, yeah, I wouldn't put this in top personally, just because. Yeah, Digimon was cool, but it wasn't quite. It was a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think
the other problem was because it was episodic, I used to keep missing episodes and being really mad about it because then I come back and just be lost.
Yeah, I don't think I watched it linearly like I was supposed to anyway myself. So that may be why. There's probably someone who watched every single episode in order and it's like, you don't get it. This is an S tier show. But it's like, for me, I'm just like, I think mid is fine for me. Are we agreed?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. Now, again, we might have aged out of this one. So, Dora the Explorer.
Oh, if I was a kid, this would probably be goated. You know, I just think I was aged too far for it to be. Let me ask my slightly younger spouse, Dora.
Dora the Explorer?
Yes, where would you put it? Because there's something like, obviously, because like, you know, Dora's like, you know, is she actually Mexican or is she just Latin American? Is she just Latina?
I think she's specifically Mexican.
Yeah, so again, it's like there's something very American about the show to it. Like,
I would give her a generous mid-tier.
A generous mid-tier is the American opinion.
Do you know what? I'm happy with that, to be fair, because, again, I also had aged out of Dora the Explorer, but I do think it kind of, at least for me, I don't remember. And it's funny because there's a tweet with a clip going around right now with what they've done with the Dora film. So somebody's clipped a certain part where the actress playing Dora turns and does the thing where she talks into the camera, and the mum and dad kind of look and are like, who are you talking to, kind of thing. Which, you know, that's kind of
the film actually looked really funny. I can't lie, I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah, I might give that a watch. I'm not gonna lie, because that clip did make me feel like, oh, I could probably watch this and find it.
I think it was one of those shows where it was like for like young kids. So
it was, but I think I don't remember, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember a show doing that type of pausing what's going on and discussing what we're learning with the viewer. I don't remember that one that did that while a little story was going on. Like, obviously we had like Sesame Street and things like that were, you know, into the camera. There was teaching and there were like songs and things like that for the viewer. But like, I feel like Dora, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the first to do the whole, we're in the middle of a story, we're going to cut away from the story to teach you what we're learning in this story.
Possibly, yeah. again, I think it's also one of the one of my distinct memories of watching Dora one day, like on a sick day, is them being like, it's blue. Blue means azul. Say azul, and I'm like, when will I ever need this? Even if I was like 2 to 4, when would I ever need to say blue in Spanish specifically?
Well, listen, if you're living like maybe in like California, it's probably good. They're probably trying to make you bilingual.
I mean, it clearly worked. I remember it like
you remember it all later.
Yeah. So,
all right. So what are we saying then? Again, I'd like if we had an upper mid. Maybe this is something I should consider next time. But yeah, I think Dora should probably go in an upper mid. But
let's put it in at the top of mid. Yeah.
Yeah. Should I rearrange the order and just put it in just to make it super clear that no, it's fine. I'm just going to put it in here. Okay. And then we have Dragon Ball Z. You're going to have to do most of the talking on this one, Ghast, because I've maybe watched 2 episodes of this.
For me, this is like dude born in the 90s. Like, this is an easy S, like top of S, like in terms of like pure influence and how great it is. Like, me, Jiraiya, and Crash will still argue Dragon Ball like politics to this day. Like, the video games are fantastic. What it's inspired are fantastic. When Toriyama passed away this year, I wept like an infant. I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, it's just in terms of like pure influence, like top 5 shows I've ever seen, period. It's something I can still rewatch. Even things that have come off it. I don't know if you've ever seen like the Team 4-Star series where they do like an abridged version of it. It starts off as more of like a piss take and just a bunch of jokes, and by the end of it, it's kind of like a better condensed retelling of the actual series. So, no, just like genuine like cultural landmark is Dragon Ball. That's easy S for me.
That's the thing. That's why I had to put it on the list, because even though I think I maybe watched 2 episodes of it, the cultural impact is completely undeniable. Like,
it's the
right, like in regular life, it's referenced in, obviously as a battle rap fan, it's, every event, maybe every other event now, but like there's someone that will have some type of reference to Dragon Ball Z. And I think that kind of impact, it can only be an S tier, even though personally for me, it would need to be something I'd go and actually watch for myself. But I can appreciate when something is so very culturally important to, to everybody to a degree. So yeah, I'm happy to put that in S tier for sure. All right, next we've got Ed, and Eddie.
Another easy S for me.
Not going to argue. You're not going to get an argument from me there. I love Ed and Ed. Well, I can't even say it now. Ed, and Eddie. Haven't revisited, funnily enough, as an adult, but I did enjoy it. Every time it was on TV, I would stop what I was doing, concentrate, watch it. I had a good time with that. So that's an easy S tier.
Yeah, one thing I did do during lockdown was I went through a period of like watching a bunch of creator interviews, because everyone was locked up. Pretty much everyone was just doing podcasts and things just to kill the time. And I watched this guy do an interview with the voice actors for the 3 Eds, just talking about what they remembered of the show, like the audition process. And there's this incredible story of what they all did when the show ended, where they basically had like this big after party at Cartoon Network, because, it was at the time the longest running self-produced Cartoon Network show. And basically what the 3 Eds did was they just got a camper van, just went off in the forest and got more stoned than any of them ever had. It just turns into this Hunter S. Thompson novel out of nowhere in the middle of this party. It's a great listen.
Did you know what? During lockdown, I was just thinking about what I did at lockdown, and it was just watching YouTube creators and then Friends on Netflix. That's all I did. Like, that running joke of like, oh, people are rewatching Friends. Like, that was literally me. I would finish it. I'd finish, season 10 and then go right back to the beginning. And that is what I did continuously I think it was a coping mechanism, honestly. But so I think, if it wasn't for YouTube creators, I think it would have been a lot more bleak, because I wouldn't have been able to take in anything else at the time. But next one is Fairly Odd Parents.
I'm going to say the show name out loud so I can get the expected glare.
Okay.
For me, I got Fairly Odd Parents in mid.
You never saw it.
I've seen some, not enough.
Mm.
Like, yeah, it's just again one of those shows that never really grabbed me in the same way. I think I don't know. Like, the bits I saw, I watched it later than probably the target audience, and I just kind of find it irritating. I couldn't
Irritating.
Yeah, there's something about like just how almost extra the show is. I couldn't pinpoint what it is, but again, personal taste. I know there are people that are ride or die for this show, but
yeah, I liked it. I had a good time with it. I watched it a bit older as well, and I enjoyed it. So what are you saying? Mid?
For me, it's mid. But I'll defer to wherever you want to put it.
I'm tempted to go top tier, but the fact that I'm not like instantly like, no, it has to be top tier means it probably isn't. So, all right, let's go mid tier. Next up, Family Guy.
I just think based on the placement for American Dad, I've got to put this one in mid tier as well. Like when it's great, it's great. When it's terrible, it's bad. Like it's really like awfully bad. I do think American Dad's the better show, honestly. Again, but it is like one of those like cultural landmark shows, though, isn't it?
I love Family Guy. I absolutely love Family Guy. I haven't seen every episode. Haven't watched most of it in order. But I think I used to, when I first watched Family Guy, I didn't get it. I was like, what is, like, this isn't funny to me. And then I watched American Dad, and I was a bigger fan of American Dad than I was Family Guy, and I would choose to watch American Dad for ages. And then I think it was back when it used to be on E4 back to back, and you'd have like 4 episodes of American Dad and then like 2 episodes of Family Guy after it one night. So I was like, oh, I might as well just watch the Family Guy after. Or it might be the other way around. I don't know. But I was like, I might as well watch the Family Guy, even though what I came for was American Dad. And that's when I was like, oh no, this is incredible TV. And I'm such a huge fan of Family Guy. I don't feel right putting it in the same tier as American Dad, personally. I think it's a top tier show.
I'd say I'll defer to you. I don't think I could begrudge it top tier. I couldn't put it. I wouldn't put it in S tier personally, but again, it's a very watchable show. Right?
Yeah, very very watchable show. That the episode where Peter joins the New England Patriots is genuinely like I've watched that episode multiple times, and every single time gets the same reaction from me, like side splitting, falling onto the floor dramatically, crying, laughter. Yeah, it has to be a top tier show for me.
Yeah. I've never been one of those people that's been annoyed by the cutaways. I've always like judged them as a joke, just because.
Yeah, I think I don't have an issue with that.
And again, as a voice talent, Seth MacFarlane is elite. He's so good.
Yes, very very good. All right, next up is Futurama.
S again for me. I just think there's so few episodes that are misses. Like the general overall consistent quality, like how clever the humor is, the number of jokes that still get quoted today. S tier, easy.
Yeah, I 100% wholeheartedly agree. Futurama is one of genuinely the best shows I've ever seen. And S tier makes perfect sense. So let's move on then to Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold, I think I need a rewatch because to me, I enjoyed it as a show. Like if you asked me as a child when I was actively watching it, I'd probably put it in mid. But rewatching clips of it now, it means so much more as an adult. Like because it tackles like very mature themes.
Yes.
For a kid show where obviously like me being who I am in my life, like I'm not going to relate that much to a kid who basically lives in the New York slums, and like so much of it is like written from that perspective. But being able to watch shows with a more empathy now, I suppose the way I can put it, looking at it and go, okay, I get that reference. I get now what they're more alluding to. Like that's a very like Bronx thing to be referencing. But I think if I was to rewatch it, I probably would put it in top tier.
I think this is a top tier show. I do. I think I loved it as a child. Loved it when I watched it back as I was sort of a young adult. I think Hey Arnold is easily a top tier show for me. So if you're happy to, I'll put it in top tier.
Yeah. Like just the clips I've seen of like certain things, like like Mr. Wynn's daughter, for example, like just the episode where Gerald's voice breaks. Like there are like some really fantastic episodes that really stand out to me.
Hard agree. Okay, next up is Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius.
I think it's Steve Odekirk is the creator. I love his stuff. Kung Pao is one of my favorite movies ever. Jimmy Neutron never did it for me.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because when you started saying I love, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, like some of his other works, I think he's incredible. Again, there are moments of Jimmy Neutron that I'm familiar with, but I just think even at the time the CG looked dated. Like the jokes never hit for me. I'm gonna get yelled at after this recording's over, but for me, it's a bottom tier show.
Do you know what? I don't disagree. It never really it never moved me, and I didn't like the style of cartoon.
I just didn't like Jimmy. Like that was the thing. Like I just found him really irritating.
But I also think like visually it wasn't. I don't know why I had such a problem with it, but I don't like that. I don't like that in a cartoon. I don't like that like 3Dification. It just looked weird to me. I didn't like it. So I'm very happy to put that in bottom tier. Right. So far, we're not doing too bad because we don't have like a whole ton in bottom tier. We do still have some stuff to go, but we're not doing too badly. Okay. Next up is Johnny Bravo.
I don't know where to place this one. I'm really struggling because I love the concept, and I really enjoyed watching Johnny Bravo as a kid, but I genuinely struggle to name like an individual episode of it.
I could not. If you paid me, I couldn't do it. I just know his little mannerisms and that I had a good time watching it, but I don't remember anything of substance whatsoever.
Yeah, so I guess I'd have to put it like probably to like mid.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it bottom tier because I enjoyed it, but I'm happy with mid. I think mid works. I don't even know if it had episodes that were like storytelling and build. Like I don't know if it did, but I just know that I liked watching it. So, all right. So this one we may have aged out of this one as well potentially. Kim Possible.
I think if I put Kim Possible any less than top, I'm sleeping on the couch. Yeah, so I mean, from what I've seen of it, I did really enjoy it. Like I aged out of it, and I was kind of it's a show for girls, but yeah, I think it again, much like Ben 10. I think if I'd watched it and stuck with it, I would have loved it.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with it being in top tier because even though I hadn't watched a lot of it, it's similar to Ben 10. There were lots of action shots in there that I liked, and I generally didn't hate it. So I'm fine with going with top tier, seeing as I wouldn't want you to have to sleep on the couch. So
now I probably would put it in S if I watched all of it. Would you put it in S?
All right. Cool. Well, then you better have a watch of it and let me know. Okay, King of the Hill.
Again, it's such a niche thing. You almost need to be like really almost familiar with the source material. Again, didn't appreciate it as a kid. Only kind of appreciate it now, really, to be honest. I do like it, but it's not something I'm like chomping at the bit to go and rewatch or anything. I would probably put it mid, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because then people can be angry at both of us and not just me. I would put this as a mid-tier show. It was fine. I didn't see the super spectacular special thing that everyone else seemed to be watching. King of the Hill was just fine to me. So yeah, happy with a mid-tier placement for that one. Did you ever watch Little Bear?
This is a never watched for me, unfortunately.
Never watched. Okay, we'll put it in never watched. I watched it, but I don't remember a lot of it. So I don't feel confident even suggesting a placement for it. So I'll put it in never watched. But from what I remember, it was pretty good. Okay. So the next one is Pepper Ann.
I don't remember much of Pepper Ann. I know I watched it though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Thing is, I wasn't much of a Disney or a Nick kid. Like I was more of a Cartoon Network kid than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they might pick that booing up. But
I was just gonna say, did you just get booed?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember it leaving any impression on me. Like this may be controversial, but let's get some discussion going. This could be comment bait, but I'm gonna have it as a bottom tier show. I think.
Do you know what? I'm fine with that. I don't remember much of it either. So yeah, if you disagree with any of these, please do just sound off in the YouTube comments. It's absolutely fine. But
DM me hate.
Yeah, yeah. Don't DM me hate. Like I'm not. No, don't do that to me. Just put it in the comments. That's fine. Okay, and then now we've got Pokemon.
Easy S
tier. Did you ever play Pokemon cards at school?
I didn't play them. I collected them. No one ever learned how to play. We just
that's the only reason I brought it up is because I wanted to know from you what the hell were the rules, because we had Pokemon cards, we traded them, but we didn't really know what we were like. We didn't know what we were doing, so we would just kind of play, but with no rules.
We would just go, I play Charizard. Oh, cool, I win then. Like,
yeah,
that was it. I actually got a Charizard in a booster pack. I was so pleased as a kid. I think I ended up giving it away to like a mate of mine that I was trying to get on the good books with. But like I actually I didn't like buy it from like a trade shop. I genuinely got one legitimately, and I was so pleased. Yeah, the series was great.
I ever got a Charizard.
The series was so good. The series was good.
Was great.
Right up until it ended. I actually watched, I don't think it was last year, but I actually watched the series finale of Ash's story.
I don't think I've ever seen it. So you watched it last year, did you say?
It kept going. Like when people said, like they wanted to do like this big send-off for Ash as a character because they rebooted the series in the last year or so. And it was this recurring joke that like Ash never wins the Pokemon League. Like there's people that have like these weird theories like, oh, he can't win the Pokemon League because he's in a coma, and if he wins, then he dies. It's like because he's got nothing to fight for. It's like stupid creepypasta bollocks. But like there was this episode a couple years ago where like he got to the final and it was like super well animated for no reason, and he wins, and then he goes to the next round and the guy has like legendaries in his team and beats him, and people were mad because Ash never wins the league, and then he finally won it last year and it was triumphant and it was beautiful.
Oh, I gotta watch that now. I have to see it just to wrap that up for my childhood, because I loved Pokemon. I even played Pokemon Go on my phone. When was it? Like 2016?
2016.
Yeah.
I've been in Pokemon Sleep for over a year. Like as far as like sleep tracker apps, it's actually weirdly addictive.
Oh, I did not know that existed, but I'm going to look into it. All right, next up is Powerpuff Girls.
Back-to-back S tiers for me. I love Powerpuff Girls.
I'm so glad you said that. Powerpuff Girls was my absolute favorite. Favorite. Loved it.
It was my favorite as well. Like just in terms of like episodes, the villain gallery. Didn't care too much for the 2016 reboot. Not going to lie.
Didn't watch it. I didn't want to break my heart.
Nah, to me, the OG show is the best show Cartoon Network ever did. It's my favorite.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls is unbeatable for me personally. All right, next one then. You might not have watched this because I've only watched a little bit of it and I watched it later on. Proud Family.
I've watched some Proud Family, but I've watched so little that it's probably never watched here for me.
But... Right, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched enough to comfortably put it somewhere. So I think
what I have seen was great.
Yeah,
like I just like I feel like if I were like, especially if I was like from a Black American family, particularly, from what I've seen, would tell me that would be like a goated show because it just seems like such a like a reflective experience of a show.
That's the thing, and I really don't want to offend it by placing it in the wrong tier just from
exactly.
Based on a couple.
I would have to put it in and never watched for me. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like if I watched it now, I'd love it. It seems like
the thing.
I've seen people do like analysis on it. I don't know if you've ever seen Toonrific Tariq. He's a fantastic like YouTube analysis channel. He does like he's done a lot of the shows on this list. Funnily, he's just a really good cartoon analysis. And I think he did a Proud Family video. It's fantastic watch. I recommend him.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Yeah, Proud Family is something I'd actually want to go back to and watch properly, sort of from start to finish. I only got into it because one of my favorite shows growing up, when I was kind of in my teenage years, was One-on-One, which I've recently just watched from the beginning, and it had Kyla Pratt as one of the stars in it, and I saw somewhere that Kyla Pratt voiced Penny, I think, in Proud Family. So I was like, oh, let me go check it out, and that's kind of how I stumbled into it. So I feel like I don't want to be disrespectful either and put it in the wrong tier because what I saw was good, but I haven't seen enough. So yeah, never watch, with a definite plan to get into it at some point for sure. All right, next up is Recess.
Another easy S for me. I love this show. I adore it. I think the characters are so clever. I can remember so many episodes of Recess. It's uncanny. I adore this show.
Yeah, I loved Recess. I really did. I was thinking it was probably going to end up being top tier if you hadn't watched as much as I had, but I'm fine with S because, yeah, definitely an important show.
Yeah, I haven't missed an episode of Recess. I've seen the whole thing.
I might actually rewatch it, to be honest. There's a few of these that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I want to rewatch these because I used to love them so much. Okay, next up is Ren and Stimpy.
This one's hard to tier because it's so. It's another Marmite show, I think.
Yes,
like John Kay is a lunatic, and you can tell he just wanted to get anything by the censors that he could. I feel many people owe their sense of humor to this show. It was so distinct, but I would have to put it mid. I loved it as a kid. As a kid, I remember this being one of my favorite shows. I distinctly remember going to Blockbuster and getting every new Ren and Stimpy temp whenever it would become available. But on the flip side, I also remember nothing about it.
Yes.
What I have rewatched, I just remember it mostly being for gross out, absurdist, that whole hyper violent, needlessly detailed close up to orchestral music, which SpongeBob just took and did better, frankly.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'd have to put Ren and Stimpy as a mid tier show, I think.
Not going to get any argument from me. I think that's a mid tier show as well. All right, next up is Rugrats.
I feel it should be S, but I can't quite pass over. So I think top tier. I do really enjoy Rugrats, but there were just parts of it that were just almost too. I'm getting glares. I may have to give it that. I don't know. It's right on the cusp of S. I think the characters are great. So again, really memorable episodes. All Grown Up was also really good. I really enjoyed the follow-up series they had.
Yeah, it was cool. I think if I had All Grown Up on the list alongside Rugrats, I would probably put All Grown Up in mid tier, but it would be upper mid. I enjoyed it. It was cool, but obviously the original so far supersedes it. I probably think the Rugrats is an S tier show.
Yeah, definitely.
But I am quite conscious that we've put quite a lot in S tier.
I mean, to be fair, we're here because we're cartoon nerds. I expected S to be the most stacked thing.
I don't think I am a cartoon nerd. I know, but then as I was going through the list of it, I was like, I've seen all. This is crazy how many of these I've seen. Yeah, I want to put Rugrats in S tier.
Yeah,
I think
fine.
it would be. I feel like everyone in my the music department of my school going to the piano and playing the Rugrats. I was still playing it literally a few months ago on the keyboard, playing Rugrats theme tune. I love it. I think Rugrats is great. So I'm gonna put it in S tier. Cool. And next one, this one I have very, very little experience with watching. So yes, so I'm gonna trust your judgment here with Sailor Moon.
So I've actually rewatched Sailor Moon very recently. We wanted to get the idea of what the original was like because I've seen pockets of it, when it was airing at the time. But going back and actually seeing the original Japanese subbed version with no cuts, no edits, it's been an experience. I think I would put it, but I have to base it on what I would have seen as a kid. So I would probably put it like low top tier, high mid tier. Again, it's a very important show that at the time I fell outside of the demographic of, but like rewatching it, I can still see like a lot of the holes. Again, like Sailor Moon's never been my favorite anime, and even now I'm watching, like, we're a good fair few episodes in. Sailor Mercury is useless. She's yet to do anything, but it's still a very good show. So I'd say top tier, I think.
Top. All right, we'll take your word for it. It is something I've got on my list to actually go and watch, just for the drawing style, because I really enjoy that drawing style, and I'm trying to do it. So
it's enjoyable. Like it's not a show, like, it is episodic, but I wouldn't say it's a show you need to like stay switched on for. It's very like villain of the week. Like Serena as a character is fantastic because she's so antithetical to most leads. Like, she's such a shit, but in such an endearing way.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants.
It's still going. It's still going after 25 years, and it's still great. I don't think we can't not put this in S, really.
I don't think it is possible to have this in any other tier, to be honest. So S tier is looking very, very full right now.
It's fine. It shows how good these shows are, because like none of them.
True.
Like, none of them in there, like, other than like maybe you could say, if you want to be like pedantic, move them down the top. But generally, like, everything in S tier is still goated.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, I picked 40. There were so many more I could have added to this list. So I think I picked 40 that I knew that I either liked or had some kind of something with. So, or had some kind of impact as well. So I think it makes sense that so many have ended up in S tier for this one. Next up is Teen Titans.
To me, Teen Titans kind of fell off. I didn't really care for the later seasons as much, and I didn't enjoy it as much as like the other DC shows at the time. Like, I didn't like it as much as like Justice League or Static Shock, honestly. I know there are people that are ride or die for the original Teen Titans, but for me, it's probably like just a solid middle of the road in top tier, but still not any. I don't think it's close to S for me.
Oh, okay. You're more generous than me. I was going to say this was a mid-tier show for me personally. But I mean, it's I'm good putting it in top tier if you feel strongly about it. Yeah, but for me, it was fine. It was okay. All right. Next up is The Simpsons.
I mean, it depends how we're dividing this. If we're treating it like Simpsons falling off and then getting good again in the last couple of years for whatever reason.
I don't know how it did that. I don't know how it did that, because it absolutely was falling off. Yeah, I don't know how it managed that. I think if we look at it as a whole, it surely has to be an S tier show.
It is just The Simpsons. There was a long period where it was the best thing on TV, period.
Right, cartoons, and people of all ages were watching it and getting something different from it.
Yeah, it's you can't not. It's again, it's like SpongeBob. You can't not put it in S. It's just it's The Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons. Yeah, I feel that way about this next one, which is Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, again, like Tom and Jerry went through like multiple errors, multiple showrunners, multiple for close to 100 odd years now, however old it is. But
I truly don't know how old it is. It shouldn't even be in this list technically, because I think it's older than the 90s. So but it was airing at that time, so I thought
it's Tom and Jerry. Like,
because you can't have a cartoon list and not have Tom and Jerry. I feel like that feels weird to not have it. I think there was something else as well that started in like 89, and I was like, I don't care, I'm putting it in because it was a big deal in the 90s and the 2000s, so it was worth putting in. Next up is What's New Scooby-Doo, which, by the way, learned that that's what it was called a couple of days ago. I've always just called it Scooby-Doo. Didn't even know or register that it was What's New Scooby-Doo.
I mean, I never watched What's New. Obviously, like, there's so many different pockets of Scooby-Doo, but like I aged
so this
out.
isn't the name for the whole thing. This is a specific.
This is a specific series. Like, Scooby-Doo's kind of like broken down into.
So let's just ignore the What's New then. Let's talk about, even though the image is specifically for What's New, just pretend it's for all of Scooby-Doo.
Cool. If we're going by all of Scooby-Doo, we've got to treat it the same as Tom and Jerry. Then,
Yeah,
surely, like it's great. It's always been great.
yeah, agreed. Can't argue with that. The next one, I watched this when I was a little bit older, actually, is Wild Thornberrys.
There are parts of Wild Thornberrys I love. There are parts I don't particularly care for.
Yeah.
Tim Curry as Nigel Thornberry is a goated performance, but for the show as a whole, I'm gonna have to warm the couch up after this, I think.
Oh,
but
God.
no, for me, it's mid.
I agree. Upper mid, but mid nonetheless.
Upper mid, yeah,
upper mid, but mid nonetheless. For me as well. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. And last but not least, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Did you actually watch this, or is this just on?
No, I watched maybe an episode, if that. Maybe. I just saw it and I was like, I can't leave this off because I just know that it's something that a lot of people enjoyed. So
yeah, like for me as a kid, like I would treat it as a top tier show. It was like one of those shows that I would always go out of my way to watch because it was just, as far as all the anime of the time went, it was top tier anime. Like in the same way that like Dragon Ball was. I ate this stuff up as a kid. Like Beyblade was my jam. I never played the Yu-Gi-Oh game just because I knew that, fool me once with the Pokemon thing, I knew I wouldn't learn how to play, and if I did, I'd get wrecked. A very good friend of mine actually plays card games like competitively. Like it's pretty much one of his major sources of income. But yeah, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't put it in at least top tier in terms of what it means to me.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I'll take your word for it. Again, like I said, I barely watched this, so I'm happy with your judgment there. Okay, so that's what the tier list is looking like. We've got a lot in S tier. Of course, we've got Arthur, Daria, Dragon Ball Z, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Futurama, Pokemon, Powerpuff Girls, Recess, Rugrats, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Simpsons, Tom and Jerry, and Scooby-Doo. I think that's a very healthy looking S tier. I won't go and read the rest of it. If you're listening to this, then please do check out the YouTube video. You can see the tier list yourself on video if you want to remind yourself of where we've placed everything. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, there's nothing that like looks at me like, there's a couple that I'm looking at that I think people that are big fans of the show will take exception to.
Yeah.
But again, that's a healthy discussion to have. But nothing immediately jumps out to me as being in the wrong place.
Yeah, and again, like if you disagree with this, that's okay. Gas said he's fine with angry DMs. I'm not. So if you could just put your thoughts in the comments of the YouTube video and then maybe expand on them in a DM to Gas, then that's absolutely fine.
And I will reply and argue late into the night.
All right, cool. So that's our tier list. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good, and thank you for bailing me out on stuff that I was a little bit unsure of. Let's say things that I wasn't too confident in putting in a tier and had to just take your word for it. So we're gonna go then into our final segment of the show. Now, this segment of the show is called Mahakama, and Mahakama is Swahili for court. So I'm trying to be less judgmental in my life. I can be a pretty judgmental person. And so for me, it really helps me to have a segment in this show where I can be a bit judgmental. And I encourage my guest co-host to do the same. We get it out. And then afterwards, we can be, nice, lovely, pleasant people moving forward.
Okay.
So yesterday, I saw a tweet with a picture of a sign in an office bathroom that read, "No phones in the bathroom. If you're in the bathroom for more than 10 minutes, a manager will conduct a smell test. And if they don't smell any number 2, you will be written up." So this got me thinking about some of the worst types of managers. And I actually found, I believe it is on Indeed.com, 8 types of bad bosses in a list on Indeed.com. And so I wanted us to give mercy or no mercy to these types of bosses. So mercy meaning that you can work for them. It's not that bad of a trait. It's cool. And no mercy meaning that there was no way that you could work for them. It's completely unacceptable as a trait for a leader. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, cool. First one is a boss who's unfriendly. Mercy or no mercy?
For me, it's mercy. Like I'm generally there to do a job. I don't need to be friends. Like, I've been friends with some managers. I've not been friends with all of them. But like friendliness is like, I mean, there's a difference in unfriendly and rude,
Exactly.
or like confrontational. But unfriendly, I can deal with.
I 100% agree. I think mercy for this because, in fact, it's encouraged. I don't want to be friends with like everyone. I don't. If I'm in a workplace, especially if I'm, commuting there and I'm in an office environment, I don't like the least conversation the better for me, actually, I find. And the least, I don't like when everyone's like, oh, we're a family, we're a bit like, we're not. Like we're here, we're all doing our job. As long as everyone's doing their job, it's great. And then we go home to our actual family, and that's fine.
Exactly.
So a boss who's unfriendly, absolute mercy for me. A boss who has poor leadership skills, mercy or no mercy?
No mercy. Again, I have worked under people with no leadership skills, and I've not lasted long, frankly. Like you can tell when the ship isn't being steered. It doesn't inspire confidence.
Agreed. I think having a lack of leadership skill, but the ambition and the willingness to do better every day and improve on your skills so that you can have good leadership skills, I think is a great trait. But just having poor leadership skills, I've experienced managers like that, and like you say, didn't last very long. I cannot handle people that like are trying to lead me in something and they do not have any direction themselves. It just doesn't work for me. I already have a slight issue, big issue with authority, so I feel like poor leadership skills, absolute no mercy for me. Okay, a boss who works alone. So by works alone, we're really talking about kind of doing it all themselves, really bad at delegating tasks.
I'm going to say mercy, just because I imagine that's the kind of boss I would be, which is typically why I try not to go for leadership positions in general. But no, I can very much relate to being very precious about the things that you're handed to. It probably doesn't work in practice, but I can understand it. So mercy for me.
Yeah, mercy for me too, because like you said, I relate to it. I've been this type of manager and had to unlearn a lot of things very quickly because it's not efficient. It doesn't work. Doing everything yourself and having a team doesn't make any sense. So yeah, definitely mercy for that one. A boss who micromanages other employees.
That's no mercy for me personally. I hate being micromanaged. I need the flexibility to do things, even if it's the flexibility to do nothing. If I'm just having a day where my brain isn't working, I just need that day to kind of like, right, let's treat today as a write-off. Let's get my ducks in a row. If I'm being told that things need to be done a certain way, and I don't know if you've ever done that emergenetics thing that they've rolled out recently, where you do like 40 odd questions and it tells you how you prefer to work and learn.
Oh yes, I actually did one in 2022. Yeah, I believe it was 2022. It was before I was doing another job at the time. Yeah, I did one of those tests to find out what type of leadership works best for me.
Yeah. And it's
like
I work best when I'm basically told like what to do and specifically what to do, and then I'm just left to it. But if it was a case of like you need to do this, and this, I couldn't do that necessarily. I need to just kind of really like have work put in front of me, been told how to do it, and then just be left to my own devices.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can multitask. I can do multiple different things. I don't love when you kind of reach out to me in the middle of doing something and then you tell me that something else needs doing. But I think that micromanaging is even worse than that for me, because it's like you're constantly just in my face. Even if I'm working remotely, I've had managers like that where it's like constantly wanting calls, constantly wanting updates, like I feel like it gets to a point where unless you're employing like children, which you shouldn't be, just trust that the people you've hired are going to do their job. Trust them that they're going to do it. And if they don't do it, then get rid of them. But don't try and do this thing where it's like preventative in some way, or because it just feels like you're just here on my face, on my neck, or just on me constantly. And I don't work well under those circumstances, and I don't think it's necessary to lead a team. And I'm really glad that it's in one of these lists for bad bosses, because I hope that more and more people, as they become managers and whatever, just know that this is not don't do this. This is not how you lead a team. It's awful, and it's absolutely no mercy from me. This one is slightly different to unfriendly, of course. This one is a boss who's disrespectful. Mercy or no mercy?
No mercy at all. Like,
agreed.
Like I'm there to do the same thing as you. Like, I'm there to make the company money. I'm there to do my job. I'm there to do what you pay me for. Like, don't treat me like a dickhead, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like go on.
It's crack the whip if you need to crack the whip. If I'm not meeting targets, tell me. But like, don't, don't get me mad about it.
Yeah. A job I had several years ago now, locally here, actually in the north. So I worked for a company. It was like a family business, sort of. It was like two friends, and then their family were all included as well. And I was working above and beyond for them. Not very much money, doing a lot of different things, but was happy to do it. And one of the directors was always rude to the guys. So like the guys who would be, putting solar panels up on the roofs and things like that. Like he was always quite, abrupt and brash, should I say, with them. But with us in the office and stuff, and also like the women in general, he was very like respectful, until one day, like he felt like he could speak to me the way he spoke to, the lads. And that was the day I walked out of that job. I actually literally immediately after walked out. I would not speak, because to me, there's never an excuse, in my opinion, to be disrespectful, to talk down to anybody, whatever your position is within that company. Don't speak to me like I'm not a dickhead. And I'm not a dickhead that you can speak to like a dickhead, even if you think I'm a dickhead. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like if I'm not doing what you need me to do, I would much rather you very abruptly fire me. Fire me there and then. It's a shock. It will feel like crap, but I'm not going to feel the way it feels when you feel it's okay to disrespect me in the workplace. Don't do that to me. That's awful. So that's a no mercy for me. A boss who's too demanding. So obviously somebody that's causing stress, has unrealistic deadlines or workloads. Mercy or no mercy?
It's on the cusp of no mercy, but I think I could deal with it. I think it depends on the circumstance. Like, obviously, like I work in finance, so I'm very much used to like clients having certain demands. I'm very much used to people being under certain pressures depending on what the client, because I know if it's demanding, I know it comes from somewhere else. It's probably someone putting the same pressure on their neck. To me, that's a circumstantial one. I could probably make do with that.
I think for me, it depends. Are you demanding like on a project by project basis? So for some projects, there is something happening, for whatever reason, and now you're being super demanding. Now the deadline's a bit unrealistic or the workload's a bit crazy because of this specific project. Or is that your style as a manager? If it's your style as a manager in general, then it's a no mercy for me, because you lot are clearly trying to scrimp and save and basically shortchange people by not hiring enough people to do this work. And now you expect us, who you're probably underpaying, but a smaller team, to do the work of a larger team. So if that's just how you are as a boss or as a manager, then for me, that's a no mercy. But if it is like, there are things that happen, the deadlines come across, and there's a project you're working on, something will happen, and it's just a circumstantial type of thing, fine. I think mercy as well. I
think it depends. Like, you can tell if someone is like inventing the demand. You can tell if someone's like, cracking the whip just because they can, or they are trying to.
Are you just like a stress head? Yeah, like, are you a stress head with a power trip, or is it that something's super urgent and normally you're actually a good boss? Like, I think that's what it comes down to for me. Okay, a boss who's unhelpful, so someone that has no advice or help for you.
Again, it's circumstantial, really. Like, as long as I know what I'm doing, I don't really care. Like, I try not to avoid bothering my boss as much as possible. But I don't know. For me, it's probably mercy, honestly.
Yeah, I
prefer a boss that's helpful, but
of course. And I feel like if you hired me and I'm experienced in the thing, and you were specifically looking for someone experienced in it, then that's part of leaving me to it. So that's okay. I'd probably say mercy for that as well. Okay, last one is a boss that shows hostility. So they're lacking empathy, condescending, that type of thing. This is kind
again,
of similar
no
to
mercy.
disrespectful, but I guess it's like specific, like hostility towards you.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think I could like ever work under someone that was just pretty much shit, basically. You know what I mean? It's similar to the whole disrespectful thing, but like, you know, we're there to do the same thing. Like, we don't have to like each other, but like, just be quiet about it if that's the case.
Like, get over it. Or again, you're my boss, fire me. You like, it's okay. People's personalities sometimes don't go together, but that's why you can hire and fire people. And if your personality doesn't gel with your staff member, but you need them so you can't fire them, then act like you need them and don't be bloody hostile. Don't be disrespectful. You don't have to do any of this shit, by the way. It's not by force. You don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to be condescending. You don't have to be, hostile to anybody. Just get on with your job. Like, it's okay to just get on with your job and go home. Cool. So yeah, that's a no mercy from me as well. Okay, awesome. So that's the end of the show. Thank you so much, Ghast, for joining me today. Is there anything you want to promote or let the people know about?
As you'll probably know if you're watching this, because if you are, that means you know who I am already. I am now Premier Battle's head of digital events. So I'm now doing some planning in terms of what we're going to be doing in regards to the Spaces Battle series on x.com. I'm also going to be very heavily involved in the Academy series that Premier Battles is starting. As you know, I started in Premier Battle Academy, and over the last 3 years, I've battled internationally. I've got to work for a wrestling company. I've made literal hundreds of friends off the back of this, and you'll be surprised at the doors that rhyming insults at people will open for you. So if you want to take the plunge into battle rap, the Academy entrants for 2025 are open and will be until, I believe, December 20th. So if you've got any questions about Academy, reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer. And looking forward to seeing some decent tryouts next year.
Exciting. I love that the Academy's back. I'm very much looking forward to that. You've also got a battle coming up, haven't you? You've got
I'm going to be murdered by Bobby. I'm going to be murdered by the Continental Champion Bobby Rex next Saturday in Manchester. All proceeds will be going towards The Pit, which is a short film directed by the Premier Battles gaffer Bison Briggs. It's a passion project of his, and we're really eager to get it off the ground. So all proceeds from this event, headlined by Raptor versus Sean Frey and a bunch of other great battles. So it's definitely worth coming down. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, the link will be in the description as well to go to. It's just premierbattles.club, but it will be in the description to go and get yourself a ticket to Undisclosed. You can find out ways you can donate the money as well to The Pit as well if you can't make it for whatever reason. But yes, please do try and come down. It should be all up, depending on where you're coming from. It will be a good time in Manchester. Okay, so thank you again so much for joining me today, Ghast. For you watching or listening, if you enjoy this episode, please do share with a friend and go back and watch or listen to previous episodes. If you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do rate the show 5 stars. And if you're on YouTube, like, engage with the video, and also subscribe to the channel. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye.